and welcome to your Monday edition of the HGP Sport. I am Stanford Howard. Thanks for joining us. Making the cast this evening, 5 disqualification as David D. Harry and Ray B. Harry stand strong at Temeri in the Arnduk Development GSSF practical shooting match. The details in this report. On the Temeri shooting range at the weekend, 14 shooters came out to take part in a 5-stage practical shooting match. The first stage dubbed Lots of Sand, the second Alternate, the third 95 Max, the fourth Fluffy Revenge 2, and the fifth Book Out Boogie. In the Lots of Sand practical shooting stage, shooters were required to stand behind a barricade, hands touching the X, handgun loaded and holstered. In the alternate, shooters stood next to a drum most downrange while holding a cloth in their weak hand and first magazine in the strong hand. Gun unloaded with slide lock open and resting on barrel, muzzles pointing downrange with all the other magazines on the drum. In the 95 Max, shooters sat in a chair with palms resting flat on their knees before taking off the engaged targets. Fluffy Revenge 2 was one of the easiest stages to do. Shooters were allowed to stand in a box 30 feet away from the target with wrists above their shoulders, facing uprange, handgun loaded and holstered. Bye. And in the final stage, Book Out Boogie, shooters stood in a box with both arms hanging relaxed at the sides. By the time the sun had begun to set on the range, 5 disqualifications were already in place, and 9 shooters had left, as Ray B. Harry walked off with top honors in the production division, followed by Michael Blake in second and Lancelot Khan coming in third place. In the limited division, David D. Harry outgunned his other competitors to take first, with Johan De Silva in second and Pravesh Harry in third. For HGP Sport, I am Stanford Howard. In cycling news, more exposure for local cyclists as 3 of the country's top cyclists touched down in Mexico to do battle this week. Jaden Samuels reports.
In cycling news, the trio of Jamal John, Romello Crawford, and Britton John are in Mexico to represent the Golden Arrowhead at the Pan American Under-23 Road Cycling Championships, which pedals off later this week. This meet is dubbed Top Shelf since it gives the local cyclists a chance of competing in September in London if they finish in the top 10. The trio touched down in Mexico on April 19, well ahead of the championships, in order to get climatized at the expense of President of the Guyana Cycling Federation, Horace Burrows, who will arrive in Mexico tomorrow. Burrows will represent Guyana at the Copaki Congress on April 30, while Jamal John will get into action on Wednesday, May 1, in the time trials, which would be 33 km. John is the only rider that would be competing in the time trials. He, along with Britton John and Romello Crawford, will contest the Under-23 individual road race on Saturday, May 4. This event would be for a distance of 132.3 kilometers. The Elite Sub-23 Pan American Road Championship is jointly organized by the government of the state of Hidalgo, the State Cycling Association, and the Mexican Cycling Federation with the support of the Pan American Cycling Confederation under the regulations of the International Cycling Union. Jaden Samuels, HGP Sport.
In karate, the 7th annual Best of the Best Karate and Martial Arts Tournament was kicked off on Sunday at the National Gymnasium and was deemed a success. Samuel Gillis has more in this report.
Rolls, stumbles, flicks, and fumbles were all part and parcel of the action of the participants on Sunday at the National Gymnasium at the 7th annual Best of the Best Martial Arts meet. Self-defense schools in and around Georgetown came up against each other in an attempt to bring their opponent into submission and win medals and trophies on display. Professor Kwesi Babagins, founder of the Best Martial Arts Motivators Association and promoter of this tournament, spoke with Nightly News Sport on the sideline of the event.
This tournament based on the WPF rules, which is the World Karate Federation rules and regulation, and any students is joining any martial arts school, it entails discipline, right, more or less, and the rules and regulations of that said organization also have to be followed. Because martial arts is not all about fighting on the streets, but people may look at it as it's all about discipline, as I said, and persons come to learn to defend themselves, they only do it when it's extremely necessary to use it on the streets, when they're under attack, when they're back against the wall.
This newscast also spoke with Ian McFarlane, who is the coordinator of the tournament on the benefits of self-defense in Guyana.
It's important to the youth of Guyana population. This program is intended to foster more awareness, first of all, to the world of martial arts, and more than that, to unify youth, to bring them to a place of meaningfulness where which they can be a part of something that is beneficial and very disciplined to them. I would want to emphasize self-defense is discipline. I will also want people to understand that we're living in a world where people believe that the way to go is guns and knives and so on. But self-defense is an effective way of defending yourself. It's also an effective form of exercise.
He added that despite the fact karate has disintegrated in some aspects, tournaments like these seek to hold the fragments together and bring to the table the benefits while gathering support from all Guyanese. For HGP Sport, I am Samuel Gillis.
In golf, Philbert London swung and pucked his way to become overall inaugural Assura Golf Classic winner at the weekend. Here are the details. The tournament was played in 3 flights, 0 to 9, 10 to 19, and 20 to 28, with prizes being awarded for first and second place in net scores. Special awards were awarded to Dr. Philbert London, overall champion, Patrick Passad, nearest to the pin, Pramad Max Passad, longest drive, and Richard Hanif, best gross. The 0 to 9 flights winners were Richard Hanif, 72.9, and Patrick Passad came in second, 75.9. Winners in the 10 to 19 flight were Abir Soban, 69.15, and Dr. Johan Dino, 70.14. There were keen competition in this flight, offering from Raghunath Passab, 71.17, Lekrani Shivrad, 72.16, Harnish Tawari, 73.19, Colin Ming, 74.14, and Shohat Tirari, 75.16. In the 20 to 28 category, the winners were Philbert London, 69.25, and Jeremy Fernandez, 70.24 in second. Great performances were also noted from Vidish Passad, 71.28, Eureka Giddens, 73.28, Clifton Reese, 75.25, and Intimas Saban, 75.23. London, who has coached former Guyana Open female champion Chanelly Webster, said that having coaching Chanelly and more recent Eureka Giddings, who both entered the winner's role last Saturday, I determined that I could focus a bit more on my personal game and strive to make a mark in my flight. And make a mark he did, not only winning his flight, but producing the best net score for the tournament. For HGP Sport, I am Stanford Howard. And finally, in rugby news, unusual day for the Green Machine on Sunday, going down 19-5 against Guadeloupe in a scum for the Rugby Americans North Rand South Zone title. Jaden Samuels reports.
Known for determination and dominance, the Green Machine was far from any of those which the visitors used to their advantage, while the hosts could have only mustered a lone try, thanks to O'Neil Charles. Played at the National Park rugby field, the visitors, who were clearly the hungrier of the two sides, converted 2 tries in the 40th minute to put the game in their perspective, with a third conversion just before the break. The opportunities to score were all spilt, which, with poor decision-making, were responsible for the loss. However, coach Kenneth Grant Stewart has resorted to the Green Machine, regrouping and making an impressive comeback.
We had everything on key, you understand? It's just the decision making. It's just as that simple decision making, because we had umpteen tries to score, and at the end we take it all up into the field and we just bumble it at the end of it. For some reason or the other, the guys just lose the focus at the time. I don't know if it's rushing it too much or what, but we got to regroup and go again.
Jaden Samuels, HGP Sport.
Thank you, Jaden. And now in today's sports history. Australian cricket legend Donald Bradman in 1948, widely acknowledged as the greatest test batsman of all time. His career test batting average of 99.94 is often cited as the greatest achievement by any sportsman in any major sport, when he scored 107 in 152 minutes with 15 fours in the match against Worcester versus Australia. That concludes the sportscast for this evening, but do remember, winning isn't everything, but it beats anything that comes in second. Over to you, Javon.